one of the podwives who's here marking some books as well. And since you've let the dog bark, you may as well say hello to all the people listening at home.
Hello.
There you go. So yeah, that was P. You heard growling at another dog.
P.
On telly. Well, her real name's Princess, but she's ever so cute, and we didn't pick a name, so I don't feel too bad about it. Not the name I would have chosen for a dog, but I think if you were to meet its owner, you might understand why it's named Princess, to be perfectly honest.
So if you're driving a car that's powered by fairy dust and that sort of thing.
Almost that exact. Yeah, I'll introduce you to her on Facebook later on, and it'll all just kind of go click. There we go.
Back to Wigan Saints. Wigan.
Back to Saints.
Yeah, so
Let's talk about rugby league.
I think Luluai and Smith were probably the two best players on the park. Like Smith's kicking game was crucial for the try that started the game, when I thought maybe young Marshall should have tried to compete for the ball rather than wait for it to come to him. It's a lesson learnt for that young fella. And then for the brilliant timing of the kick at the end, that Percival just wanted more, and Percival's desire to rip that ball out of Tierney's hands. I mean, obviously it was tackled in the air and everyone was offside.
No.
It should have been a penalty, and he probably didn't even ground it properly either. No, but in all seriousness, I have no problem with that. With that try, and I don't really have much of a problem with a lot of stuff. You know, Wigan's goal line defence in the first 10 minutes or so of the second half, whilst a lot of it was self-imposed, was really, really good. St Helens then returned serve for the next passage of play, even though Wigan did squeak away with the Joe Burgess try. Remarkable finish by him. But when Saints scored the Mark Percival's first try, that came at a time when Wigan were physically on top. Alex Walmsley either had just come on or wasn't on the pitch, but he certainly wasn't effective as he can be as earlier in his stints, or when he's not as knackered. But basically Saints look like a different team when he's knackered and when he's not knackered. And Wigan's beat up forward pack were able to be on top despite lacking any sort of composure when Sean O'Loughlin was off the pitch to push home that advantage. But physically Wigan was stronger, and McLaurin and O'Loughlin come back on and put on some massive hits in defence near their own goal line and really roughed up the Saints forwards. But it came off McLaurin trying for one hard hit too many on Amor, when Amor managed to get an offload free to Farge, who then put a nice in. Don't fucking do that with your neck. Put a nice inside ball. Does that do your fucking head in, that?
What?
The neck thing he does.
When he cracks it. Yeah, it's disgusting.
I know, and I'm fucking looking at you when you do it. It's sick.
If it helps, I feel so much better when I do it.
It doesn't help.
No. I feel so much
This
worse.
is never happening again. This is never happening again. No, I'm not getting ganged up on my own podcast.
So
you can ask you not to do it and you still carry on doing it.
Right, hush now.
So Farge did the nice inside ball for Percival when Wigan's defence had kind of overread it.
Right.
But it all came off of McLaurin trying to absolutely knock Amor out, when all he had to do was control Amor from not offloading the ball at that point, because Amor was basically behind the play because of the loose offloading game that Wigan had forced.
Right.
And if he'd have just controlled the tackle, I don't see Saints would have scored there, and I don't see Saints would have come back into it. And it feels like tiny, tiny moments in the game where the right intention was there, but the wrong execution was there from one of the two players doing everything they could to do what they needed to do. Kind of just went the way of the Saints, and every credit to them. And you know, I was walking out of the game talking to Saints fan about how much they thought we were the better team, and I was like, well, you guys just wanted it more, and it was really a really nice occasion in a way, even though we lost.
Yeah, I think everyone had a bit of perspective, didn't they, over the last few days, in terms of, you know, just enjoying sporting and just big events in a more cordial fashion, didn't they? But it was close on the scoreline. Was it close in terms of the stats?
Very close on the stats. Only 8 metres different between the sides. Both sides had only two clean breaks. Both around 95% tackle success, so those Saints had slightly better of that. Both gave away only 5 penalties. I think the first 20 minutes or so of the game went on without a penalty. The first penalty was the tip on one of the Wigan players, and then the second penalty, or the first penalty to Saints, was the tip on that Tautai did on one of the Saints players. So, you know, very obvious penalties, but everything else in between was pretty clean for the most part. Willie Icer being a stupid idiot and John Wilkin doing the same but not getting penalised were two things that maybe go away from that. Both in double figures in errors though, and Saints had one more error, so it was all very, very even.
Individually then, who stood out for us?
Well, Mark Percival 2 tries, 5 tackles, 2 clean breaks. James Roby 44 tackles, 10 mark tackles. Alex Walmsley 6 tackles, 173 metres. Matty Smith 3 try assists. Tommy Makinson 142 metres, 3 successful offloads. I think at the ground, I don't know who Sky gave man of the match, but at the ground I think the Saints supporters, Saints sponsor or whatever, gave it to Makinson, and we were all like,
who? What?
Does he not want to correct it and say Percival? Because it was Percival's 2 moments that really settled this game one way or the other, I thought.
Yeah, I would say so.
For
Wigan, go on.
Tom Davies, he grabbed a try, a well-deserved try, along with his hard running metres of 178 again. George Williams, 1 try assist, 7 successful offloads. Ryan Sutton, 108 metres, and Liam Farrell doing what he always does, 126 metres.
There you go, making up the golden left edge for Wigan. Castleford and Widnes played off on Friday night then, after Thursday's festivities. It was 32 points to 22 in favour of Castleford, in front of 7,648, but that was not the full story.
No, and Fatboy Rob says, I can't work out if Cass were really lucky or Widnes really unlucky. Cass battered Widnes for the first 20 but only scored once. Then Widnes were the better side up until the 70th minute. To be fair, Widnes looked dangerous throughout and tackled well to stop Cass making easy yards we've been making all season. Widnes made no errors after the first 20. Not sure how we got the win, but winning tough is a sign of champions.
Certainly is. Clubfoot25 said Cass played the get out of jail card beautifully. A very scrappy game, and full credit to Widnes, who for long periods were the better team. Ruck speed was slow and our line speed wasn't as quick as it usually is. Losing Springer didn't help matters, but we didn't pass the ball as well as usual. Hopefully we'll bring a crisper team on Monday, but could do with Webster and Moores being back.
Oh, injury crisis. Tyler Castan said, we got away with one here. Widnes had nothing to lose and played with freedom, which unsettled us for a long time. 12 points down on 50 minutes. Step up Jesse, who was immense, and Eden completed a hat-trick to bring us home.
Neil McKeown says, by the way, that was one of my favourite tweets from the weekend. Was it Neil or Chris?
It was Chris.
Chris McKeown getting in touch with Barry McDermott to get him to settle the pronounced McKeown debate.
McKeown,
McChristmas.
Yeah.
There you go.
Neil is actually McEwen though, so I'm doing the justice of pronouncing it correctly because he knows how to pronounce his own name.
According to him. Right, great effort from Widnes, he goes on to say. Young lads really busted their balls in this one, unlucky not to win. Good news for Monday versus Leeds is we'll have an actual half-back on the pitch. Chase is a wild card, but better than nothing.
Ethan O'Gorman we finish with. Now then lads, what an entertaining game this was. Another cracking 50-point victory for Cass. Oh wait, wrong game. Widnes came out fighting and led 12-10 at the break. In second half, Cass broke down. Very bad defending meant Widnes had a 22-10 lead with 20 minutes to go. Then it clicked for Cass. Then it clicked that Cass were playing Widnes. They put on the boosters into 5th gear and eventually came out victors. Come on, you forward.
Yeah, it was a break from tradition for Castleford, I think. The thing I found out with this game is trying to work out whether or not it was Cass being the architects of their own downfall for a significant period and then managing just to flick the switch, or whether or not actually we've seen over this weekend an uptick in Widnes in terms of not attitude but defensive intensity and actually bringing some prolonged stints of concentration and execution to what they're doing. And I think probably it's a combination of both those things. But this was far from the worst result Widnes have had all season, and they went on to get a decent result on the Monday as well. So perhaps there's been a change in
spoiler alert.
Perhaps there's been perhaps there's been a change in tack at Widnes, or maybe there's something happening differently. Certainly the young players that are coming in are playing with a real amount of pride, and maybe now that's been augmented by some of the older stages through the middles actually chipping in and putting in some big meters and maybe just having a bit more of an attitude in terms of an appetite for defensive work.
I think the enthusiasm, you touched on that, and maybe is playing a big factor because this was the game that young Brad Walker made his Super League bow in the second row, and there was just kids all over the place, but they did a cracking job. They
did, and actually I worked out the ratio at lunchtime, and Greg Eden is more than on track to beat Dennis Solomon's try scoring record.
Is that so?
Yes, he's at 25 for the season now.
In Super League, yeah.
Yeah, so he's on track. Games. He's on track. He's got another. What's he got now? Another 7 games. Another 8 games. More than.
Yeah, he has been in a rich vein of form, hasn't he? Scored 4 hat-tricks in a row. So
4 hat-tricks in a row plus an extra one. So
yeah,
he's in a rich vein of form, but he's on 25 tries, so it's not beyond the wit of man for him to get another 15.
Not at all.
If things go well. But no, Castleford. Look, the thing is, against Widnes, you can afford to have a game like that where offensively you're not clicking, and as much as the endeavour of the forward pack is there, you're not necessarily getting everything to stick. But when they do get it right, those periods of time still exist for Castleford where they'll come out and blow you away. And it's becoming a theme in their games now, isn't it? That there's always this 15 to 20 minute period, almost reliably, midway through the second half, where Cass just come out and do the business.
And Cass, when they do execute, are far more clinical. They turn chances into tries this year.
Yeah,
way better than a lot of other teams, so it is hard to stick with them when they go through those patches, and I think that possibly is what did for Widnes here.
Yeah,
a late spell like that against a understrength, beaten down young side who are doing the best.
Yeah, well, they reap the rewards later in the weekend. Spoiler alert. Well, what did the stats tell us on this one?
Both teams managed 7 breaks, but Cass won with 6 tries to 4, so that how that's the clinicism. High error count of 33, but Widnes were worse on that, 18-15, and worse on the penalty count too, 6-3, which meant they weren't able to take advantage of finding Cass on somewhat of an off day.
There we go. So it's going to be a who's who of Castleford players, this, but who made the stats line up for us?
Greg Eden, 3 tries, 126 metres, 4 clean breaks. Matt Cook with a try, 123 metres. Matt Cook's having a real storming year. He's in the underrated
13
nominations at the moment, isn't he, for the end of the year awards?
And the thing is, he's playing in a side where there's just so many players who are having stellar seasons, isn't he? And he just goes about his business, and fair play to the kid.
Greg Minikin, a try, 108 metres, 3 successful offloads. Grant Millington,
his brother,
40 tackles, 13 mark tackles, 106 metres, so working hard both ways. And then finally Zach Hardick, a 2 try assist, 7 tackle bust.
There you go. For the Widnes Vikings, who stood out?
It was Manesi Manuakafoa.
Oh, good. I like Manuakafoa.
122 metres for the big man there, with all the vowels. Cahill 120 metres. Ed Chamberlain 2 try assists. Charlie Runciman a try assist, 5 successful offloads, and Jack Johnson a try and 6 tackle busts. He was I think at fullback in this one.
There you go, congratulations. So at the same time, Hull FC's season continues to take a little bit of a turn for the worse. They were defeated 22 points to 26 by the Leeds Centurions, who registered their first ever away points in Super League, and that was in front of 10,222 and refereed by Ben Thaler down at the KCOM.
Scoots 28 Max said, after watching some good rugby on Thursday, it was bump back to earth watching this dross. We were as woeful as that Magic. The only difference was Lee weren't anywhere near as entertaining as Saints had been, which meant for a terrible spectacle. Griffin awful, Shaw good going forwards but lazy in defence. Carlos still can't tackle, forwards invisible. Snade should never have played. Kelly the only half decent player.
And AK Still 69 says, not much to say on this. Copy and paste the Magic weekend Saints debacle for the first 60 minutes, followed by 20 minutes of improvement come desperation from Hull. Lee doing what Lee do was enough to win this contest, and they were definitely deserved winners of the game. Hull need to find some energy and go forward from somewhere. It does say a great deal that if you're criticising a team like Hull FC for lacking energy when they're playing against a bunch of old men like Lee, that things aren't right down at the KCOM.
Well, things don't seem to be. It's like if they lose 2 or 3 players, it has a huge impact on them.
Yeah.
We did speak about this earlier in the season, and when they talk about their injury crisis, and really who was out in this one for Nua.
Yeah.
I know they'll say Talanoa, but
he's not really been around the side.
Well, it's not like Steve Michaels wasn't picked sometimes ahead of him last year at times.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, we've touched on it in the past about the whole, players heading back for Nua's heading back to Australia, and was he happy about Frank Pritchard going, and what does that say about Sika Manu's attitude? Maybe things are just starting to fall apart a little bit at Hull FC because they're not executing and they're not playing that brand of rugby league that they played last season either, are they?
Were they missing anyone else? I mean, Ellis is...
But he's not another...
He's not played, has he? It's hard to say you're missing someone when you're... It's like me saying Wigan are missing Tom Tompkins.
Well, of course,
I've not said that all season because he's not really been a part of things. And Ellis, as much as we all love,
what he's
the way
achieved.
he is,
he's
not really played a lot, has he?
No, exactly. And that's because I think maybe they're doing with him a version of what happens with lockers from time to time. Maybe they are saving him for inverted